Hey there, we're at video 11, I think. um, so I had my first counseling appointment today and it went pretty well. Open up some emotion again and trying to find coping strategies for when I'm triggered with PTSD and when stuff comes up it's hard to process those. I have a tendency to go into shock initially and then I go into a panic mode. So part of dealing with that is creating a strategy plan for when those moments come up and how to deal with that emotion and process it properly. I'm kind of in a weird spot. I always planned out to get to this point, but I didn't plan anything after. I don't know exactly how to move forward. I honestly, probably on some level, didn't expect to make it this far. And now that I have, it's like surreal. And I have to create my next plan for where I'm going. Apart from the spirituality part, that's I'm comfortable where that is. Work wise, I don't know how exactly where I'm going, uh, and how I'm gonna maintain a normal work environment, being the way I am with the trauma and the triggers, and I have to be very careful. If I misstep, I could lose everything I just regained. This house of cards is very delicate and very vulnerable to everything. Basically, one false move and it all comes crashing down. And I have to be so careful with my stepping. I have to be so careful preventative. I have to be so careful with it's just it's a lot of pressure. um, I never thought I'd be able to live this normal of a life again. I'm blessed to have that, and I guess I just have to move with very careful direction. I really am trying to have faith. I have faith that everything's going to work out the way it's going to. I'm praying to get into school. That's what I would really like, and as long as the funding works out, but I don't hear it till the end of May. I I don't want to put all my eggs in that basket because for some reason they can't fund me and I can't go, and then I have to think about what would I do after that. I don't really know if going back into hair is gonna be a real option. People tell you their problems. You're kind of the therapist, and in this situation, I there's certain things I just can't hear. There's certain types of people I can't be around, and having a one-on-one customer-based relationship like that is very can be very dangerous, depending who you get in chair, and you just don't know. And there is so much good happening right now in my life. I don't want to lose it all. I just worked so hard to get here, and I just scared to, I don't know, be under false safeness right now. I can't count that, I'm stable enough in sobriety to really, be able to handle anything. Just because I've been able to handle the last couple triggers, something massive beyond that could happen, and I don't know what I would do. And you're not really. I guess most people it's different from person to person, but I say maybe like a year into sobriety where you're comfortable, and 3 years where you feel really like you got your good footing. You're pretty stable. The thing when you first start is that you think you're stable, but don't think you're too stable because life will test you. That's when life's gonna test you hard, see what you do with it. And I know I've already been tested some, and I just don't know what else is gonna be on my plate, and I have a lot of fear that I'm scared to make not only make the wrong choice, to follow the wrong advice, to whatever. I have a fear of the future, certainty of the future. I'm trying to be as positive about it as I can, and just be like faithful that the cards are gonna just lay where they lay. Like they said, 10% of life is what happens to you, 90% is how you react. I have to keep focused on my goals, of my short-term goals right now, because that is giving me direction. But now is the time to start thinking about a little bit more longer-term goals, and where I plan to be in a year from now, in 3 years from now. There's this came up a lot quicker. I got to this step that I've been planning for a while, but I got through it a lot quicker than I expected. I do move faster than most people in terms of adapting and adjusting to situations and stuff like that. Usually I'm 30 steps ahead while people are still like 30, like way not even getting past the first barrel. But I've always been like that. I try really hard when I'm focused on something 100%. I barrel through it. I just freaking ram right through it, and like it's how I've always been. Once I'm really primarily focused, I feel unstoppable. I push myself really hard, probably a little too hard than I should. Um, as I was talking to my counselor, it's like I don't want to like rush it. Or it's dangerous. I can't rush it, and I can't push it faster than it can go, because I could be doing damage to myself, and I could cause a backlash of shit to happen, because I'm not taking the time to really properly work through the steps. So it's important to focus on working through everything properly, making sure you don't miss anything. A part of healing is healing from the root, and making sure you have every part of that root. Otherwise, you're just going to grow back, and you're stuck. You're back to where you started, and I can't afford to let that happen again. I worked too hard to get here. I can't afford to fall off again. I can't afford to start from scratch again. I really need this time to be the main and only time that's gonna really work out, and that's how I feel like I have to view it. I do wish that counseling session was a little bit longer, but I'm happy just to be starting finally. It is way too long of a wait to get these appointments these days, with so much mental health crisis out there, and that's another reason for these videos. For those who can't wait, for those who want to be proactive and do something in the meantime besides sit around and do drugs. Granted, I did that too, but you know, that was gonna result in my death if I continued to do that until everything started. So keep that in mind. You can't be doing that forever, and being proactive is a great way to get at least some of the information. I learned about how addiction hijacks your brain, how it manipulates you, how it gets past your blocks, um, how it can like manipulate you into situations, or into like around people, to get ultimately line up one thing to another thing to another thing, to get you to its main goal, which is to use the end. It happened many times. I I only realized that I wasn't in control when I realized that I was missing time, and I was missing a lot of time. There's times too many moments I couldn't account for, and when people's like, I start meeting people, said they met me, they were at my house. I'm like, I don't remember that, and all these situations that happened, I'm like, I don't remember that, and I realized, when do I remember the last little bit I've been using? And I'm like, when was the last time I remember like actually using, and realizing the addiction hijacked my brain far ago. I wasn't even there. I remember on my birthday last year, which is just January 31st, so that's almost this time, just past this time, exactly 1 year ago, and I was at a party, sex and drugs, whatever, and I remember getting there, and using, and then cut to me. Somebody said something that snapped me out of it. I regained control, and I can't. Somebody said, like, be careful because I have a lot of friends that did that, and they're not around anymore. I kind of just fucking brought right back, and I snapped out of it. I went to the bathroom, pulled myself together. I look in the mirror, and my entire arm is all the way down, are covered in track marks, both sides, blood, and like blood smears and everything. I burst into tears and realized, how bad, out of control I was. And Jack's the addiction's good at tricking us to get what it wants, and you think you have control over it, but once you start missing time, you don't have no control. It is totally just riding you like a car. And that was scary. And now, still to this day, I don't know 100%. I can't trust 100% that the choices I'm making are mine and mine alone. So what you do is, like, what happens is the addiction hijacks the part of your brain out of control, and it pushes it into situations. And when it gets what it wants, it kind of seizes control. It's kind of like watching yourself in a clear box, like, those mind boxes where they're can't hear them. So you're like watching yourself do all and say all this stuff, but you're not. You're there, but you're not there. You have no control. You're there watching it, but you're not really making the choices. You're watching someone else drive your body, basically. And then when you come back from that, when you get control again, then you have to pick up the aftermath of what just happened. And and it's terrifying. I got to a point where I couldn't rely that the choices I were making were my own choices. I couldn't trust myself or my brain that anything I was doing, people I was talking, anything was my actual choice, or if it was just manipulating me to get back to what it wants. And to this day, I guess I can't let go of that, and I just always think that what if it's just another trick? What if it's just another mind trap? So you set up these mental blocks so it can't get past. But the thing is, it's like, Venom on Spider-Man, like that black stuff that grabs it, detaches, it just does that around your brain. It's like, oh, block, go around it, block it, go around it, and it's just constantly trying to like take control and get what it wants. And like eventually that gets like subsides a little bit more in time, but it's never goes away. And like there'll be times it will see an opportunity to use again, and it will try to work its way in. It's a couple back in your mind. Oh, maybe just this one time. Oh, I've been clean for a while. Oh, blah blah blah. I can control myself. That's just the whispers of it trying to play its little tricks. And then boom, cut to you. Freaking been on a party binge for 3 days. Don't know where you are. Don't know the last time you were home. It's terrifying. You got to know that where you lie and that addiction begins can become so fluid at some point. You can't even tell the two apart. It becomes so much of your personality, you forget that you exist. And I didn't even start having memories flood back in until almost a month after not using. Memories of stuff I haven't remembered for years, people's names, people I dated, situations I was in, all this stuff about exactly before the addiction even like really became as strong as it did. I remember all that stuff now when couldn't remember it for the longest time. Excuse me. And it's overwhelming. It's like floods of memories, and I'm like getting myself back. Like it's me now, and but like that wasn't me before. Saw a video of me, and I was like jet black eyes and just talking and acting so weird. And I was like, oh my god, like it's like it looked like a fucking demon in my body. And I'm like, that's how I'm fucking going around and looking like to everybody. Like holy crap! No wonder everybody will stay the hell away from me. We can't confuse that the addiction sides of us are us, because they're not us. They are what's using us, but like we are still in there, but you have to pull yourself back out. I had to do some drastic things to get myself to reemerge. One time I had to hang. I thought I was so far gone that there was no part of me, no spark inside left, and I couldn't feel it for so long. I had to hang myself off a doorknob with a tie and just start to lose consciousness just enough to see if there was a part of me that still wanted to live, or if I was too far gone, that part was just gone. And that's very extreme, but like once you get to the last stage of addiction, you are unhelpable 100%. That person is gone. And I thought I was in that last stage because I hovered around that for so long. And suddenly I felt the burst, the spark of life, the thing cling from down here and just like pull itself like up back into like, it was such a weird feeling, but I knew I wanted to live. I knew there was still part of me worth saving. So I I remerged that time, and I, not fully, but like I had to claw my way back through from that point. And then there were a couple times again over in the following months where I was like, because I was, that's when I started to slowly try to wean myself off. And then in the coming months I still lost myself the occasional time, and I had to look at myself in the mirror and scream myself back, like just pull myself out of that darkness, because just buried under all this pain and dark and just consuming vortex of just horrible trauma. And I kept myself centered. I kept pull myself back every time. I just kept myself at the surface, and more as time went on, got a little stronger, got a little stronger, got a little stronger, as my usage kept going down and going down and going down. So I have myself coming back up. I got the usage going down. I got the time lapsing in between, or the time in between using getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And this was like over the course of the entire summer. So since my birthday, around the time that happened last year, and then right up until this year is when I stopped. So 1 full year of getting like quitting drugs. That's how long it took to actually quit the drugs and like break that tie. The meth is like hardest thing to quit. I had no problem quitting everything else, but like that was freaking brutal. Um, but so, and then by the time I was done doing that, yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot easier. I was pretty much fully merged at that point, but then when there was still that inkling of addiction, but like now we're going into week 8. I barely feel that part of me at all. I know it's never gonna go away, and it's always gonna be there. So I have to be very, very careful with manipulating me and trying to trick me. But like I I'm back. Like this is me now. Like I haven't been this much of me has not been back in over a decade at least. And a lot, very few people in my life know this side of me, and it's not even who I was before, because that person still doesn't really exist, because that person was untainted before, but like I was like still tainted a little bit. But now I'm rebuilding as a completely new person with the core foundation of who I am, which I always wanted to be a good person and help other people, try to be the best person I could be. That mostly always stayed the same, but I got really sloppy in those dirty years, and I want to go beyond that. I want to just really find the true, push myself to limits of new greatness and be even better than I was way back then. And so I'm still rebuilding myself, but not ever forgetting where I came from. But even this is still a new person compared to whoever I was before. So people, uh, seeing people I haven't seen for years, or people that's been watching me go through this, have been saying like, they're amazed about how completely different I am now. But it feels good to rebuild. It feels good to start kind of from scratch and really build the person I want to be on my terms. It's very important, and I don't have anything guiding me to what I should be doing, or what's socially acceptable, or sexually acceptable, or even what do you call it? Uh, Sexual orientation acceptable. I just want to be me, and 100% the way I want to be me, and keep uh, true to who I believe I am. And that's where I'm really gonna have the biggest payoff. So anyways, I think that is enough for today. And thank you for watching.